then you stand to risk your reputation. I think that that's clear.
Okay, so how can we deal with unethical business practices like the one we've just mentioned? Well, I'm guessing in this case, because Halliburton is a well-known name.
Yes.
And Kellogg's was nobody really knew about it, but because it was a subsidiary under Halliburton, it really came to light. But how can we deal with such cases if when it comes up here in Nigeria, unethical business practices?
I think let's even start by having a system that separates the good from the ordinary. And the Nigerian Stock Exchange has started to take steps in the right direction. They are setting up a rating system that will rate the quality of corporate governance, which includes the quality of business ethics and anti-corruption that the companies are putting in place. They're going to rate them and use it to create a corporate governance index, which will be linked to their premium board. So that at the end of the day, there should be a difference in the ease with which the companies that are on the premium board attract investment and the kind of reputational enhancement that they get out of being there. And we've seen it on Bovespa from Brazil, the stock exchange in Brazil. We've seen how when they did that with their Novo Mercado, they were able to separate the good from the ordinary and help investors make informed choices about where they want to put their money.
But it's not just the Nigerian Stock Exchange we should be looking at. We should also be looking at the financial markets, the money markets. How can they also replicate what the Nigerian Stock Exchange is doing to, boost confidence?
I think it's the same way. If they can look for institutional arrangements that help them show on a sustainable basis the difference between an ordinary company and a company that is well run, it is the beginning of helping boards to think about what is important. Because it has to be the choice of the company to recalibrate the rules with which it does business in order to then have a sustainable change, rather than just going to town and saying, we're a better country, come and invest in us, and then people come and they meet sharks and they go away really damaged. Because if you see some of the blogs that people who have been to Nigeria and done a stint in Nigeria are writing about Nigeria, it's very damaging and scathing. But Nigerians are finding it very difficult to refute some of the things some of the allegations that are being made. So it's important that it is a cultural change rather than a superficial thing.
When we come back after this break, Soji, you're going to talk us through how we can make this cultural change. That cultural change, of course, has to start with everybody. Individually. We have to have put our own share in changing the perception of what people really think about us. So hold that thought.
Okay.
Our Business Morning will continue in just a moment. We're looking at business ethics in Nigeria and how it's affecting our economy, and of course how major businesses as corporates and private individuals are actually should be part of the driving force of how people change the perception of how business is done in Nigeria. And I have with me in the studio Soji Apampa. He's going to be here with me in just a moment when we return. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning, and on the program today we're looking at business ethics in Nigeria. How does this affect profitability? How does this affect the perception people have of businesses? And how does the public and private sector actually contribute their own quota to help people perceive how the government runs things? Well, I have with me in the studio Soji Apampa. He's the co-founder Convention for Business Integrity, and that's what we'll be talking about and continue this conversation. You can be part of this conversation. Just send your questions or comments to any of the platforms showing on your screen. Thank you, Soji, for staying around with us.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about something that's pretty interesting. It's a debate. It's a long-drawn debate that's been going on for a very long time now, that the private sector is as corrupt as the public sector. What are your thoughts on this?
As they say, it takes two to tango. It probably even takes three. Because really, without a private sector collaborator, most people in government are not able to complete their schemes. Sometimes they tell us that the schemes are even proposed to them by business people.
That's private business people.
Oh yes, private business people saying, look, this is what I want, this is what you will do, and this is what's in it for you. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble. No, we'll sort that out. Don't worry, it will be offshore. They come up with the schemes as well. And many of our professionals also aid these schemes. Some of our accountants, our lawyers, and real estate agents, they also help and aid in these schemes. But then the biggest culprits are the public, who actually keep quiet. When they see what is going on, they know it's going on, but they keep quiet. And do you know why they keep quiet? It's because they hope that somehow, some way, they're going to get a chance for corruption still to work for them as well. So when people see a corrupt act going on, they don't say anything. They try to see what the repercussions would be. They see that there's no real repercussion for those who get involved with it, and they're just biding their time.
Well, you mentioned this, just before we went on break, that
Yes.
there's really nobody who is sort of punishing them, meting out any punishment to these people. We have, agencies that actually are responsible for ensuring that justice is meted out to such people, but it's not all the time that they get the right information. So when when the onus actually falls on you to give this information to the agency, we've seen a lot of cases where people don't do anything. They are aware of what is happening. I mean, these organizations, these agencies can't just pull information from the air. They need people to supply this information to them. But we've seen cases where information has been withheld, and so these agencies go about trying to get things done, and it seems like they're hitting their head against the brick wall, and everybody gets this impression that they know what is going on, but they don't want to do anything about it. So where do we stand on that?
Yeah, that is quite correct. We did a survey of 1,005 people across Nigeria, in Port Harcourt, Lagos, Abuja, and Kano, asking why they don't use public feedback mechanisms that are provided by the government. And two things emerged very clearly for us. The one is a fear of retribution. Many people believe that if they were to make a report, that's those who are inclined to make a report, that they are likely to be detected by those they're reporting, and the repercussions will come on them. And then there's another group that actually feel, even if we did report, well, what's going to come out of it? Nothing will be done. So it prompted us to actually create an independent public feedback mechanism called egunje.info. And we have had over 13,000 hits on the site, but only 140 reports. If you look at the people who have been coming to read the reports that are there and have been coming to see what's on the site, they're all coming on iPads, iPhones, Blackberries. But those who are making the reports seem very timid, people who can hardly pay for their airtime. They prefer to phone rather than go online and make the reports. They'd rather tell somebody, get some reassurance. It's written down for them and then posted on the site. Few actually go there directly. So what's that telling us? Those who actually have the information